Hello and welcome to the Cincy Sports Pod. I'm Tim Kraft and with my co-host Jack Snyder, and we're just gonna get into it. It's been a while, but we are back and gonna probably be back on a consistent basis. So that let's get into the Bengals. Very disappointing season at 6-11. Uh, Not what we predicted going into the season, not what we expected. We should have higher standards for a crew that has Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins on offense, and Mike Gesicki, a bunch of weapons on offense, as well as Chase Brown. And then the defense, we thought that you know, the thing is this defense typically rounds into shape toward the end of the year, even though it's still not great toward the end of the year, or even good. But it gets better throughout the year. It got better with Lou Anarumo's group last year, and it did with Al Golden's group. But I'm just gonna see like how specific players have just grown over the past, this year. And we'll take a look at that, but we're just gonna take a little bit of an overview of what the Bengals season looked like. And I'll send it on over to Jack to just, get his analysis on it.
Yeah, obviously, very disappointing year for the Bengals. They obviously start out with those two wins at Cleveland and versus Jacksonville, and that Jacksonville win looks fantastic right now, considering they
Yeah.
could make a push for a Super Bowl based on their seeding in the playoffs. But like I mentioned, that Browns, it was kind of that 17-16 win. People were like, "Oh, you play 1 point to the Browns. It's not great." And I was like, "Well, the defense they played pretty well in that game overall, and Burrow doesn't play well, but we squeak out a win." And then we beat Jacksonville the next week. We're like, "This is what this team is going to be." But then Burrow gets hurt in that game. They obviously lose four in a row. Bring in Joe Flacco. They have QB issues. They beat the Steelers. We're like, "Okay, we got something cooking here." And
Yeah.
they dropped four more in a row, and then they finished the season 3-3 with a good win against the Ravens, but then tough losses to the Bills and Baltimore. They had a chance to make the playoffs. Then it's capped off with that loss to the Browns and what I would consider a pretty Bengals loss. But on the bright side, they clinch a top 10 draft pick, which fingers crossed they hopefully use wisely, which I'm not sure we can trust them. And obviously, they
Me
just
neither.
announced they just announced bringing back Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin, which I'm personally not a fan of. But it just with this team that was just in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, it feels like they've been trending down since. And I just, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not totally surprised with how the season is shaped out, especially after the Burrow injury.
And even after, like, it does feel like forever ago, almost like
Yeah.
it does feel like a long time ago since, we, went on that glorious playoff run to the Super Bowl and to the AFC Championship. I mean, I remember those days of like beating the Ravens. Not beating the Ravens. That was the second playoff run. The Raiders. And that was just like a huge game to get the monkey off the back after 31 years of not winning a playoff game. And then going, to the Titans and taking down the one seed. And that was a stacked team. Like that was a really good team. Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times in that game, just kept on getting back up. That offensive line was just absolutely garbage. Um, and then you go into the Chiefs, you go down, I believe, was it oh, was it like 21-3 at halftime?
It was something like that. It was
Something
definitely a
like
big
that.
deficit.
It was a very big deficit, and it was just unheard of to be able to come back from that. So I really want to get that, flow, uh, that, momentum, and just, start to put together winning seasons. They went on two 4-game winning streaks, losing streaks this year. And granted, weeks 3 through 6 were with, no, 3 through 5 were with Jake Browning, and that did not go well. It was not a great experience. Um,
Mhm.
but Flacco comes in and he's putting up a lot of points, but just the defense cannot hold up whatsoever in losses like, you know,
They gave up
39,
39 to the Jets.
39 to 38 to the Jets. He put up 42 against the Bears. He put up 20 against the Patriots. I mean, that 12 against the Steelers is just not a good look whatsoever, but not a good look from the defense either because they gave up 34. But I just think I say we take a look into some of the players that we believe on the defense can be cores of this defense going forward. And I'll just start out. DJ Turner. I think he was snubbed from a Pro Bowl spot this year. I mean, he was covering the best of the best this year. He just continues to follow receivers better than just about any other cornerback in the game right now. And I'm gonna just pull up his stats if you want to further elaborate on DJ Turner's just you know
Yeah,
breakout.
yeah, he led the team in pass deflections with 18. Uh, had two interceptions, two forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. I mean, that's pretty good from the corner position. Only has 40 tackles, but when you're out on the outside playing coverage, you're not going to get in there a lot unless they're blitzing or stacking the box to stop the run. So I really liked him. I thought he was good. DJ Turner, like you said, covering the best of the best. We've seen flashes of it in previous seasons, and I think this year he kind of stepped up. And I think on the outside, Dax Hill as well was a solid. He had 11 pass deflections, second on the team. He's also really good in the run game. 88 total tackles, 57 solo, pretty good there. Had 3 sacks, so I like to see that as well from Dax. So I think those two guys are pretty solid on the outside, all things considered.
Yeah, definitely a weapon with Dax Hill. You can, put him just about anywhere. You can have him on the outside. He can play nickel. You can put him back at the free safety spot. You can put him in the box. It does not matter. He is a very uh, you know, he's like a Kyle Hamilton type, not even at that level, not close to that level yet, but he's still, a very effective tackler. He's always been a cover guy. I thought it was a mistake putting him back there at free safety his first couple of years with the Bengals. And it has shown to pay off with him at cornerback. Um, and has really given the defense a boost. And then I would just say, let's just take a look at the linebackers. The very underwhelming season from the two rookie linebackers, and I, when you look at the PFF stats, it's not good. I mean, it is not good. They're basically some of the worst starting linebackers in the game, and they're not taking the right angles at times. Within Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr. And you thought in a guy with Demetrius Knight Jr. getting in the second round was a guy that was 25 years old. He was gonna, you know, uh, be able to be a stalwart of this defense. And it's simply not been the case. There have been flashes. I will say there are games where they have had made very good plays. But just the inconsistency at from taking angles, wrong angles, um, in tackling, I would say it just needs to be better.
Yeah, so you mentioned both the linebackers. They are tied for second on the team with 106 tackles each, 58 solo for Knight, 53 solo for Carter. Knight has 3 sacks, 7 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble. Carter has only 1 TFL in the year, 4 pass deflections, 1 interception. And I get the criticism. I understand what the numbers say. Everyone's like, oh, this is underwhelming, and that they weren't good, taking bad angles, PFF grades are bad, whatever. That's fine with me. We, the Bengals, are one of the highest teams in collective starts for rookies. Are you really going to tell me you're going to place 2 rookie linebackers and expect them to be the best players on the defense? I don't see how that's fair, personally. So I get the criticism, but I was more on the positive side for both Knight and Carter. I thought they've had good seasons as rookies. Is there much to improve? Yes. How many years they played in the NFL? They've only played one. I mean, it's their
Yep,
first season out of college. The defense stinks anyway. Geno Stone can't tackle to save his life.
I agree.
Jordan Battle can't tackle to save his life. So if they miss a tackle, which is going to happen in their rookie year, I'm just going to let you know it's going to happen.
Yep.
Why are the veteran safeties behind them not making that tackle for limiting those 20, 30-yard gains to only like 8 or 10? I'd place more blame on the safeties behind him, specifically Geno Stone. He needs to leave. I'm sure I know
I'm
we share the same opinion on him.
I he is it is really disappointing when we signed him, from the Ravens. I was hyped. I thought it was going to be a great signing. He'd been in the Pro Bowl the year before with 8 interceptions, led the NFL. But it has just simply not been the case. He can be a ball hawk at times, but it is, very rare. And the thing is we're not with ball hawking, but like with the consistent tackling, he can simply just not he takes the wrong angle about 65% of the time. That is just not good for, a guy that plays free safety. You just can't have that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I said, very disappointed in him. But that's what I was going back. God, you can't bring in those veterans to help out your rookie players, and then they don't help out your rookie guys by making plays
Mhm.
on the field. I'm sure off the field he was good. I'm not in the locker room, so I don't actually know. But to my point was, those guys were pretty solid. They both have over 100 tackles. I don't know how many rookies in the NFL had over 100 tackles on the year, but I know they were starting, so they're playing a lot of snaps. But you bring in those guys and they miss some plays, but because they're being thrown in to that starting position and they have to play well and that pressure mounts, and then everyone else around them is also terrible, and then I just don't think it's 100% fair for those guys, in my
I,
opinion.
I I agree. I agree. I mean, it is their rookie year, and the guys need to, simply develop. And I thought it was a mistake at first to, just give away, Logan Wilson for a seventh round pick, but it turned out to be the right move because he got benched by the two worst defenses in the NFL, in the Bengals and the Cowboys. So it ended up. I mean, I'm sure he imparted some really great wisdom up with those guys. I Demetrius Knight Jr. and as well as Barrett Carter were just like, that was my guy. He was able to help me in so many different ways throughout my rookie year, and it was really sad to see him leave. But yeah, I totally agree. I think they're going to improve. I don't think there's, you know, you don't need to be spending a high draft pick on linebackers. I personally, I don't think. I mean, if we can get to the point we got the 10th draft pick, and I want Caleb Downs so bad, but I don't know. Like looking at the draft order right now, we'll see if they um, need anyone on defense. But I say we just look a little bit. I mean, how do you feel about Jordan Battle, the other at this other safety spot?
I don't know, inconsistent. I felt like he was also not a good tackler. I mean, he led the team in tackles at 125, but he has more assisted than solo. Um, no sacks, only two TFLs. Does have six pass deflections and four interceptions, so those numbers are good. Led the team in picks this year, I believe.
The funny the funny thing with Jordan Battle, and it's not really that funny, is that he was a consistent tackler in year one and year two. It was that was the part of his game that was really, at a high level coming out of Alabama. I loved watching his tape out of Alabama. Just, a guy that can make plays all over the field. But the ball hawking part of his game has gotten a lot better. Yeah, like you said, 4 interceptions, 6 pass deflections, two forced fumbles. Those are, I mean, some good stats from your strong safety, and obviously the tackling is all right, tied for 31st in solo tackling, but. with 62. But yes, I agree. He tends to take the wrong angles at times and just misses his tackles, or it's just a lackluster attempt at a tackle. And I
Like what we
think,
saw on the Cardinals' first touchdown, second last week of the year.
yeah, I totally agree. But I mean, there was a play at the goal line where he forced a fumble in a huge game against, I believe, the Ravens that one time against Isaiah Likely,
Yeah,
which was really huge in that game on Thanksgiving. Um,
yep.
so, I mean, I wouldn't look to, I would look to draft Caleb Downs, and that's not the guy that would be getting replaced. I would go with Geno Stone there and keep Jordan Battle, especially because they don't play the same positions. Uh,
Gone? Question
Jordan
mark.
Battle does play strong safety, so I believe, and Geno
Yeah.
Stone plays
Uh-huh.
free safety. So
Yep. You cut out for a second. Sorry, I
okay,
didn't hear you.
got it.
Yeah. No, but yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I would love Caleb Downs. I'm interested. I haven't actually looked at the draft order, so I don't know who's going above, like who's taking quarterbacks, who's getting that stellar offensive player, how many defensive guys are going to go. But I would love Caleb Downs. He would be my number one guy at the moment.
I agree, and because of positional value. I think that is he will tend to fall a little bit more than a guy like Arvell Reese, who's a linebacker is a premium position on the defensive end, but safeties tend to fall a little bit further. And if I'm looking at the draft order, the first two picks I believe are going to be quarterbacks, and that being no Heisman Doza, and then as well as Dante Moore from Oregon. And a big game that is coming up on Thursday night. Uh, but
Friday night.
then you got the Cardinals at the third pick, and
Yep.
I would assume they would be taking, an offensive player.
Hmm.
You know, they could take D line or safety, they're saying. And then the Titans at pick four, the Giants at pick five, Browns at pick six. They're definitely not taking defense. That defense is really good. The Commanders, I don't see them picking defense either. Um, and then the Saints at eight, and then the Chiefs at nine, and then the Bengals at 10. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see. I, I think it would be a good pick. Then let's just go over the D line briefly. Um, I would really like to emphasize like how good of a year like Joseph Osai had. Um, and if you could uh, go on a little bit about that while I look up the stats.
Yeah. I mean, 9 tackles for loss, has 5 sacks. Really impressive season. 43 tackles overall. Only played 14 games. Um, 2 forced fumbles, tied for 21st in the NFL. Um, obviously hasn't been the best player typically for this team, but yeah, had a pretty decent year. I mean, in terms of, as I look it up right now, he had 6 tackles. He didn't. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, he didn't play the final couple games. Uh, he had 4. He had 3 or more tackles, and from Chicago, Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore, and then he didn't play the rest of the year. Um, had some solid games. Had 2 sacks in that win at Baltimore on Thanksgiving. Had a big game there, including a forced fumble in that one. Also had a forced fumble against Buffalo. So
Having
obviously,
five
no,
sacks, I mean,
yeah,
I think those are a big 5 sacks right there. Yeah, he had 5 sacks also in 2024. I'd like to see that number go up a little bit next year, but and with, I really looking forward to seeing what Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart can do. Obviously, Shamar Stewart only played 3 games this year, and that was very disappointing. He did get a sack in that one of the games he did play, but I just need to see more from Shamar Stewart. You draft the guy based off just the measurables, the way he was able to just, screw up the play in college. He'd get in the backfield and he didn't necessarily finish the play at times, but if he can learn how to finish and just uh, bull rush those passers, uh, O line on the outside, I think he could be a really solid player. But I just did not enough tape from him this year. It just simply hurt way too much. So we'll see. The jury's still out on the bust. Is obviously only year one, and we'll see what he comes back looking like after a full off season going into his second year. And then,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, touch a little bit on Miles Murphy as well.
Yeah,
Um,
Miles Murphy was fantastic, I thought, down the stretch. I loved watching him play. Totals 52 tackles, gets 5.5 sacks, leads the team, has 2 pass deflections as well, and a fumble recovery, 6 tackles for loss as well. I thought he was phenomenal down the stretch. Like really kind of came into like his position on the team,
I
kind of
agree.
filled that edge spot without Trey Hendrickson. I I was a big fan of him, to be honest. I mean, he has 5 tackles in the game against Cleveland, 6 against Arizona with a sack, um, 5 tackles against Miami, and I mean, obviously, defensive line stats are going to be a little skewed by the tackles. Like they don't have a ton of high tackle numbers, but it's about pressures, and he's getting through the offensive line. He's getting pressure on the quarterback, and he's like not making plays, but he's allowing other players to make plays as well. I thought he was really huge. Obviously, 6'5", 275 out of Clemson, first round pick in 2023. So I think he's on an upward trajectory right now, and I'd like to see him stay in Cincinnati.
I agree. I'd love to see him stay in Cincinnati. I was very underwhelmed those first couple of years, but being able to just come back, and have 5.5 sacks, just really shows the improvement. And like you said, 28 solo, uh, 24 assisted for a combined 52 tackles is definitely an improvement at the defensive end. Whereas, in his rookie year, he only had a combined, 30 tackles in his rookie year and, 31 in his year two. So I think we saw a lot of flashes and a lot of just in coming into his own toward the end of the season. I would have totally agree with that. I loved seeing him play down the stretch, and then the availability this year, playing all 17 games was huge
Yeah, that's the best ability is availability.
for sure, for sure. I say I mean, we can talk a little bit about the offense. The offense was just simply really, I mean, it was really good. Most um, for the most part in this season. Obviously, you had three different quarterbacks playing this season, and that is not ideal for a football team to be successful. Um, and there you could tell. I mean, in those Joe Flacco games, the team was scoring a lot of points, but when Joe Burrow got back on Thanksgiving, there was just a completely different vibe about the team. The way
For
the
sure.
defense played, the way um, that chemistry between the receivers, especially Jamar, and then also just that throw it up to T ability. It's an 80-20 ball every time.
Yeah.
I just really liked what I saw on the offensive side of the ball this year.
Yeah, and Chase Brown rushed for 1,000 yards, got that mark in that game against Cleveland. Burrow was fantastic. Chase is the best wide receiver in football. Am I biased? Probably, but you're not changing my mind. T. Higgins, the best number 2 option in the league. So you just got to keep Burrow healthy. The offensive line is what it is. You're not going to be able to draft the rookies every year and then expect them to start and play well, and then I don't really see this franchise being aggressive in free agency and signing 4 offensive linemen they're going to play. or whatever the number is, the offense is going to be good. So I'm not concerned about it. I just keep Burrow healthy is the only thing I got to say, and improve the defense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree as well. Um, I would say let's switch over to our other topic, uh, University of Cincinnati basketball, Bearcats. Let's take a look on this season, and I'm gonna send it over to my, you know, UC basketball guru and Jack Snyder.
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, my dad and I, we've had season tickets for a couple years now, and I obviously, being a student at Indiana, I don't get to go as many games as I would have liked. So I drive home for a good amount. I came home for the Dayton games, and that was fun. Got a big win there. The season's off to a good start, looking good. I come home for Louisville. They have a lead after the first half, lose by 10. Like, okay, whatever. Louisville's top 10 in the country. Not so much anymore right now. And then I'm back. Thanksgiving break, Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Let's kind of hit the holidays strong. And they lose to Eastern Michigan at home, and that is just not a deal. The offense is absolutely terrible. I mean, it is
Yeah.
a disaster. I'll pull up the numbers right now. I mean, they are just not good in terms of Ken Palm. They're 65th in Ken Palm, sixth ranked defense in the country, so they're elite on defense. Do you know what their offensive number is, Tim, in the country?
It's gotta be. It's gotta be
Out of 363 teams, I would like you to guess. Mind you, it's a Big 12 team, so this is including all of the mid majors and those other teams.
165.
That is generous, Tim. They are 218th
No
in the
way.
entire country in offense.
That is
218th.
wild.
I can't expect you to win basketball games with that. I mean, it's
No,
not good. They
that is
they're eight and
that is
six. They lose the
garbage.
crosstown shootout to Xavier, and a Xavier team who, by the way, just lost to DePaul. They do not look good right now, and they lose to Georgia. They blow a big lead. They're losing 38-11 to Clemson in the first half. They come all the way back just to lose by three. It's been a rough go. They play West Virginia tonight here on Tuesday, and if they don't win, it's I'm gonna officially declare the team dead. And I think we're looking for a new coach. As I love Wes Miller as a person. I think he's awesome. Defensive basketball coach, he's awesome. But you also need to play offense. That is something they don't do. So unless they go like 12-6 in Big 12 play, which seems impossible, I think Cincinnati's looking for a new coach next year,
He's
which is it's tough.
he sounds very good in a press conference. I will say that he knows what words to say at, at the right times. He's a class act, but I do not believe that he should be the head basketball coach going forward. Um, he keeps on saying after these losses, this showed why we're going to be a great team. I don't necessarily agree with that. That is a tough pill to swallow. They did not they didn't look bad in that a game against Houston though at home.
Yeah,
They could have taken down a Goliath there in college basketball, but the crunch time just was not good enough. Uh,
no,
and you got to be better in the last 5 minutes of the game to be able to beat a team like Houston. And then
yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
you're going off to West Virginia, and then a good UCF team who's 25th in the nation. That's a big
They just beat
opportunity.
Kansas. They just
that
beat Kansas. So
is a huge opportunity right there. So, and then you got Colorado and then Iowa State, who's number three in the nation.
it
So
might get ugly. It could get
it,
ugly
it could
fast.
get ugly, but it also, you gotta be optimistic in a way. I mean, this team is 8-6. It is not a very good look right now, but we'll see. I mean, you got so many opportunities. Arizona the following game. I mean, that is just scary. So, I mean, when you play in the Big 12, you're going to be playing the cream of a
Yeah.
crop in college basketball. I personally think it
Yep.
is the best conference in all of
Me
college
too.
basketball.
For sure. I agree. Yeah, and that Arizona game's on the road too. I mean, I don't know. I like the roster. I mean, I thought the roster was fantastic this year. They've got some really good pieces. They obviously had the offseason thing where Chisel gets kicked off the team, and then they just add a mid-season, and that kind of sums up how this team has been this year. But yeah, we'll see. In
Yeah.
this era in college basketball, though, if you hire a new coach and you can be good right away, we've seen Michigan do it, we've seen other teams do it. So there's always the chance, but you got to get the hire right. And obviously, the John Brandon hire was terrible for basketball. Wes Miller probably not going to work out. Scott Satterfield, he's terrible, despite technically winning more games than the previous season.
Yeah.
I, it might be an athletics department problem, but I don't know.
I say let's just look at and we're gonna look at some other of the local teams on a high note. Miami of Ohio. I mean, off to a 15-0 start. Granted, their non-conference schedule was very weak, but they're just scoring the basketball at an elite level. I heard the stat yesterday. They're shooting from 3 point percentage, I think at a 37% clip, like each of their players are. Like their 9 to 10 guy rotation, they're shooting the ball at a 37% clip from the 3 point line. That is just unbelievable. And then they got a huge win against Akron the other day. Um, and then they also beat Bowling Green 93-83. So
Yeah,
they're just putting up gaudy numbers on the offensive end.
yeah. Travis Steele. I know
I
Xavier
know.
fans are happy to see him succeeding. 15-0. I'm pretty sure they're favored to win every game the rest of the season. They could legitimately go undefeated. I mean, for a mid-major team, they have an offensive rating of 114.5 on KenPom. That's 81st in the country. Remember, I told you Cincinnati's 218. Miami's 81. They're good. They're going to be a trendy 12-5 upset pick in March Madness for sure. And
I would
don't blame
have
people
to
for doing
agree.
it.
Yeah, they could get an at large bit with the way
Oh,
they're playing right
absolutely.
now. Yeah, if
They
they,
they only lose one or two games. They don't even need to win their conference tournament.
yeah,
You should put them in 100%.
um, and it is cool to see, uh, you know, Travis Steele, former Xavier coach, him succeeding in a way, um, because he is a great recruiter, but I feel like he's really built an identity up there, and this team really rallies around it, and clearly it has been working so far, being one of the only undefeated teams in college basketball right now. So
Yep, for
definitely
sure.
a feat that not many people can say they have accomplished through 15 games. And then I say we look at Norwood University, Xavier, uh, and see how their season has been
I
playing
mean,
out so far.
they got off to a rough start. Took some bad losses. I mean, lose to Santa Clara, who is actually a really solid mid major, by the way. They get hammered by Iowa at Iowa, who's top 15 in the country in the net, so that's a solid loss. But then they lose
Losing
the
one
tight
to
one to
Georgia was tough.
yeah, that was tight. And then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this team has some momentum. They take down Cincinnati, and that's when the Bearcats really start to fall off. And then they get a good win against the decent mid, not great mid major in Missouri State, and then big East plays come around, and they are 1-3. I mean, they get blitzed by Creighton, 98-57. I believe the worst loss in Cintas history.
It
That
had to
was
have been.
that was not a good Creighton team, by the way. And then they win at Georgetown by 3. UConn just merged them, and then they just lost to DePaul. So
And
they
not
had some
many just
momentum, and now,
in
yeah,
the Big East is pretty weak this year, in my
very.
opinion. Uh,
I would agree.
I think the Big East might only get 3 teams this year in the tournament.
Yeah,
Maybe not even three.
UConn and Villanova, I think, are the only surefire tournament teams right now.
I agree. I would have to agree. They go, play Marquette tomorrow. Then they head off to Providence. So we know, is Providence at home?
Providence and Butler at home, so they've got some winnable games upcoming.
Yeah, some winnable games, but we can check in on them, later on,
Yeah.
but they're gonna have some big games, you know, up for coming, up